what's his name now? Alexander. Just think about Albert Einstein, Plato, all these all these big, larger than life, people that have contributed to humanity. In that movie, right, they were trying to pass them off as like eternals. They were trying to say these guys, they just did not die. They lived for extremely long years, and they've been in different cultures and they've contributed differently to humanity, right? But they painted them as like very, very few. Just like they had like a handful, like seven, or I think there were seven or something like that, right? And then you're like, and then again, you hear Jesus say stuff like, there are some of you here, and as this is Jesus talking to his disciples, that there are some people here that will not see death until the Son of Man comes down until they see the Son of Man returning from heaven. Yeah, see in his full glory. Now, if you read classic theology, they try to pass that off as the transfiguration. Now, Jesus was talking about the transfiguration. That there won't be people that would die until they see the transfiguration, which doesn't make any sense, because the transfiguration was basically just 2 days after that, or maybe even if it was like 2 years after that, or even 10 years after that, it still doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to say there are some people here that will not die for an event that will happen in 2 days' time. It doesn't make any sense. Do you know? So I think, but what makes sense is that maybe he was referring to the rapture. Maybe he was saying there are some people that will not die until the rapture, of course, which is when the Son of Man will come back, right? So there are two things. So that leaves us with two possibilities. Is either those people are dead now because the rapture occurred and then they saw Jesus come down. So the rapture has occurred, right? Or the rapture has not occurred and then we still have some beings that are living on earth because they are still waiting for Jesus to return, because Jesus has not come back. Do you understand? Those are the other two possibilities that we are left with, which is why I think the Bible went with the, scholars and theologians, they went with this other transfiguration like theory, which doesn't make any sense by any logical parameter. Right. So now notice how Jesus didn't say those people did something special, right? So that whole trope keys into that whole eternal thing, which again keys into this whole ancient Babylonian kings that lived for 45 to 50,000 years, right? And ruled for a very long time. So it begs the question, how is this even possible, right? Are these people aliens? If those people exist, right? And also, in the Bible too, there are people like Cain, and which God said that he's not going to die. God is going to mark him, right? He's not going to die, and he's just going to be wandering the earth forever and ever. There are people like that he's just not going to die. Do you understand? There are people like, stuff like that, right? So how is that even possible, right? Is that even genetically, is that possible, right? So we know that there's